right, so welcome to Game Plan Sunday. Today is May 31st, 2020, the last day of the month as we enter the first of the month for June. And the theme going into this week will be sell in May and go away. Common term. This is always used throughout Wall Street, where a lot of big money players come out the game, taking off that excess risk for no reason. And so that's the typical pattern that we see. This past week, lots of interesting things, okay? The markets, ended pretty solid, which, that's interesting, right? So we got lots of bad things happening continuously. Economic data is still terrible, of course, but we have the Feds that's supporting the rally. And so you don't want to fight the Feds. And so you want to slide into some plays that will, benefit you when the Feds is mingling in the markets. So a lot of money pumped in, got the markets exalted, but the economy is still going down, right? Still having, millions of people that's, losing their jobs, right? So we got about 40 million people that's out of work. That's continuing. The COVID situation seems like it's, you don't hear about it as much right now because there's other bigger issues that's in play right now. But, the COVID cases are still going up, actually, and they're opening up the economy. Now, that's another thing is that, Wall Street, the stock market is, optimistic about the opening of the economy. And so they're anticipating, pent up power, pent up, people that's been pent up in their homes, ready to get out, ready to go to the beaches, ready to go spend some money to get out and start spending some money. That's what they're anticipating on, which again adds to the inflation situation that's at hand. Yeah. So you said Dustin said numbers are going to be wild in LA and New York. Hey man, it's crazy right now, but you don't hear many people talking about it, because we have bigger issues at play right now. So that's interesting. So COVID not really, taking up a lot of the news space last week. Remember we coming off of good news from, Moderna, those other companies talking about, vaccines and stuff like that. That's looking pretty good. So that's got Wall Street a little, uppity, about things as well, upbeat. But then we had the situation with China last week. So China, we had a lot of things, right? So we had Trump, pull out the WHO last week. That was, significant. We talked about, China saying they're going to front the whole thing anyway. Trump just got fed up and just said he just pulled out. So that was, significant. And then he said he was going to talk about what he was going to do with China. Now, I didn't catch the meeting. I don't know if any of you guys caught the meeting, but I haven't seen anything in the news headlines that, came about it. In fact, the markets were selling off on Friday. But then they came back after whatever he, had to do, whatever he said he had to do, because whatever he said he did, it wasn't significant anyway. I think what the market is anticipating is he's going to completely scrap the trade deal. But I think at this point, we can pretty much, deduce that trade deal isn't going to come into fruition anyway. So, I've been saying that for the longest anyway. When they first signed it back in January, the markets was, piling up off of the phase one of a 4-part trade deal. So you don't even have a real trade deal in the first place. And the thing that I said, if you go back on those videos, I was saying, will the U.S. or China even, uphold their end of the deal, right? And as you guys can see, that's not happening. And I think that's going to get worse. A lot of things are getting worse with that whole China-U.S. situation. Hong Kong was, at the headlines, the U.S. meddling into China's business. They don't like that. And then, we have, our own issues in our backyard where we have riots right now. And these riots are really, really terrible right now. And, Trump is in a very tough situation. We'll go over some of that here in a few. But I think that he definitely needs to be very careful, okay? He needs to be very careful because things are really, really sensitive right now. All right. So, and then Trump also got into some beef with Twitter, right? They was fact checking him. He immediately responded. His rebuttal was sign an executive order. And, he has repercussions for him. Mark Zuckerberg, he already knew what time it was. So he tried to, do some smooth talking like, oh, yeah, we shouldn't do this, that, and the third. But hey, all of them got to get it, All of them got to get it. So, those companies, I think that, they're not in a good position with more government oversight, right? Um, so those are all the excitement over the last week. Now, we did have a holiday week, which was a short week. We had a 4-day week. So you did have some pent up monies, from that came rushing into the markets. So all of that was pretty interesting, right? So taking a look here at the S&P 500. This is where we are right now. All right, so we zoom in on this here, and the chart itself. Let's see. All right, so we came off this bounce, right? That was clear support. We had a buy trigger right up in here. Price has, moved up to the 200 moving average. This was the resistance level, and it's popped above it, but it's coming back down. Okay, we have a sell trigger right here on the ready aim fire or your RSI, whatever you're using. So we're seeing that the markets are overbought, right? That rally, this was the money maker. So you remember we talk about sell in May and go away. That's what the big boys normally do. They done made their money. And so expectation is for this thing to turn back around, but we still may have some play in the market. So what I'm looking at, again, we got, sell trigger in here, but it doesn't mean that we're going to, doesn't mean that you need to be shorting. Okay. Because, the new trend is still intact. Okay. What you want to watch out for is see if the price will hold the 200 moving average. And if not, if it breaches and it goes back down, then you'll be looking at that kind of move, right? So it's like this zigzag play, right? Just on a bigger time frame. That's what I'm actually expecting. But we have to play what the market is going to give us. That doesn't mean that's what the market is going to, do. So the market is going to try everything it can to be positive about whatever, right? The Feds or whatever they're doing. So with that being said, I do have a target. Right here at the 786, right? That's the first target. And then I have a hard target here if we get this high. I don't think that we can take out this high. Now, it's interesting if we do, but, I think that, here, if in case we rally up more, this would be a first, stop up here. And then this would be a hard stop right here. So that's my insight. That's what my projections are going into the near future. Now, what we have to take in mind here is that the dollar is going to tell us the story. Let's see. All right. So this is the dollar, and we had a squeeze on the dollar, and it's firing short. And this has been holding up the market, right? This dollar has been holding up the market. It's been chopping in this range, sideways, chop, suey, right? People been getting chopped up in this thing, waiting on a decision of the dollar. Now, the expectation was for the dollar to actually rally. Let me just make sure I can see you guys on the YouTube side. All right. So I can see you guys on the YouTube side also. All right, cool. Right. So just know that whatever way the dollar is moving, equities is going to move opposite. Okay. And normally we have gold and silver that moves opposite of equities. But right now, this whole dollar situation is having them moving together, which makes the situation hard to call, right? Because I call it a treacherous environment, right? Because we know what the normal correlations are, right? Gold's supposed to move opposite of equities, of stocks, but they've been moving together. And it's because of this dollar here. So what we saw is that the dollar it broke the 100 support, and it's also now breaking the 200 support. But it's in the oversold territory, right? So will this be a sustained move down? It definitely needs to come down, right? Definitely needs to come back down. But I don't know if we're going to actually move that far down. I don't really see it yet. We need to completely break this 200. Okay, we need to completely break this 200 zone where we're at right now. So again, make sure that we keep focused on the dollar situation. As this goes down, this is going to be good for gold and silver. So, which brings me into gold and silver. Let's see. All right. So this is gold on a daily chart. As you guys can see, we got a bull flag on this thing, and we are in a squeeze. That's interesting. Okay. So you say, bingo, resistance right here, resistance right here. We know what our resistance are. We have a clear target on that. Okay. We do have a buy trigger here. We got some momentum that's shifting up here. Let me go to my other annotation tool here. All right, so we can see all of this. Bingo, resistance, resistance. We know where that zone is at. All right. We have a buy trigger here, and we see the momentum shifting up. We're in a squeeze, and momentum is shifting up. Trend is starting to shift up. So I'm still bullish on gold and silver. Of course, we got a buy trigger way back here, and it's been doing good. The squeeze should give it enough power to plow through the resistance zone up above. Bingo, target up ahead. So gold stocks are in play. Okay. Now remember, Bank of America, you know, I still got that target zone in here. Bank of America, they went out. Let me show you all my zones I got in here. Bank of America has a target on gold at 3,000. Don't ask me how they got that zone. I don't know, and I don't care, but just know that's where the bank is actually expecting gold to go to. And my Fibonacci is telling me, you know, first target, second target, right? But they're more aggressive on gold than I am. I find that very interesting. So we got a story that fits the technicals is what we're getting to. Thank you. So always know that we follow the stories, we follow the technicals, all of that. He said, looking weak in commodities, playing silver. That's right. Which brings me to, because gold is moving nice, right? Again, bullish gold. All right. But you know, I'm extra bullish on silver, right? Y'all know I've been dropping videos about this. I've been dropping videos about this for the longest, right? And it's so many, you know, people that's out here talking finances, this, that, and the third. In fact, I was watching, I was listening to a short video that was posted on YouTube from Dave Ramsey, right? Y'all know Dave Ramsey's supposed to be the financial guru. And the interesting thing is a woman she called and she was asking him, should she dump her silver, right? She's like, she got some silver and she's just been holding on it. And, you know, he's giving her some advice and basically came to the conclusion that she needs to sell her silver. And, you know, I think this was about 2 weeks ago when I saw it. So it's a while back when I saw it, right? So this is, you know, maybe about right about here. Maybe I think she probably maybe sold somewhere about around here, right? Yeah, the video could have been. That's when I saw the video. I don't know when they filmed the video, right? So maybe they filmed it. You know what? They probably filmed it before when I saw it, where it was going down here, because that's the only reason I could think of why she would want to sell, because the price is going down, right? But you guys remember when I had posted it, right? And I was telling everybody, silver is the best bang for your buck when we hit that, right? Everybody know we got videos all over the place. We got a whole group on our website about silver and gold, right? When I saw it bounce off this zone, I knew this zone was going to hold, right? That's what I saw, right? And we started to bounce here, right? So when I got in on silver again, we was getting in at $12 an ounce, okay? And it's cheap, right? And I was telling you guys about my kids. They playing video games. They playing what's the game? Geez, I can't even remember it, but the video game Fortnite, and they wanna buy V-Bucks and all of that. And I'm like, well, I spend $25 on some fake money when you guys can have some real money. This is me mentoring my kids, right? I'm trying to teach them. Well, you can actually be building up wealth right now as a kid. You know, this stuff was $12 an ounce. Now look at silver. Look at the rally. Look at that. I mean, this is the safest bet. This is the best bet, right? Where we had, you know, where equities is more of a gamble. Now, equities is definitely, you know, moved up, but it is such a gamble right now because people are not seeing the bigger picture. People are stuck on the smaller picture where the Feds is pumping up the game. but the fundamentals are not there. So you got to be very careful. Okay. But if you see, silver has been the best bet. And I'm talking about real silver, buying hard assets. Okay. And I've been a buyer on every dip. Again, boom, right there. Boom, again, right there. I've been buying. Okay. Now, meanwhile, through this whole event, we had um, Warren Buffett, okay, who has been clearly telling people he's not buying stocks. That's interesting, right? Because you're talking about the biggest dog of them all, who's been offloading all his stocks, sitting on plenty of cash. Okay, he's going to be very significant in the return to normalcy if we ever get there. But right now, he told everybody that he doesn't see anything worth buying. So again, we was debating with guys about buying the airline stocks, buying the oil stocks, and all this and third. And a lot of them got their heads cracked. And I'm like, well, for you long-term investors, you're supposed to be followers of, I'll call him Uncle Warren Buffett, of Uncle Warren Buffett. And if you understood value investing, then you wouldn't actually be just trading stupidly, right? Because there's a difference between price and value, okay? Just because you see a cheap price does not mean that you're getting the best value. Uncle Warren Buffett is damn near the father of value investing. Now, if this is the guy who's telling you he don't see anything worth buying, why are you in a hurry to buy? That means there's more pain that he's expecting to come. So I bring this up because, he sold off all his airline stocks, and last week he also sold some financial stocks, I believe Goldman Sachs or what have you. He's been dumping. He hasn't been buying nothing. All right. And people have been getting really pissed off with him. Right. So you got a lot of guys in the equities markets is pissed off with Uncle Warren Buffett, talking cash money about him. Right. And I don't know if you guys know, was it Bill Ackman? Bill Ackman. I'll call him the golden boy. Okay. So when you hear me talking about the golden boy of Wall Street, that's Bill Ackman, because that's what he represents to me. I don't know if that's what they call him, but that's what I call him. He's the golden boy of Wall Street. But he broke bad with Warren Buffett this past week. That was big news because Buffett is his mentor, and he's not seeing eye to eye with Buffett. Now, the reason he's not seeing eye to eye with Buffett is because he has been capitalizing on the gains from the Feds pumping up the market. And these guys are hedge fund managers, right? So they're managing other people's money, and that's what they get paid to do, is to deliver more value for their clients. And so Buffett has, he hasn't been making no money, right? He's been dumping the stocks. He made some mistakes with buying the airline stocks in the first place. They're not happy with it. But the golden boy, when the whole thing popped off, we were talking about it, right? He was on Twitter, he was crying and everything, and his analyst was running all the models on the COVID situation, blah, blah, blah. But he went in and he traded some options, and he made some money. He made a couple of billions. And, golden boy, he's been benefiting, off of all of this. So his people are like, man, F Buffett, you the dude, you the god. Go ahead and, do what you do with our money, because that's what you've been doing. So that's interesting because, you get that split behavior on Wall Street where you have, the old school guys, they're going to take the Buffett, the Buffett way, which is the value side. And then, the new school, these guys are real arrogant pricks, right? They trying to get that money. They don't care. That's what the golden boy represents. Now, the danger in this is that for me, because I listened to the shareholder meeting and I heard everything that Warren Buffett was saying. And, he's not optimistic about, the future of the equities world. And he does believe that, the U.S. is going to pull through, which that's, some optimism, right? But he said he don't see anything worth buying. And if you guys probably don't even know about the Buffett indicator, he has an indicator called a Buffett indicator where he's measuring the GDP versus, the stocks here. And his indicator basically let him know if things are overvalued. So his indicator, which is Warren Buffett's indicator, is showing that the stocks are overpriced. And remember, the key to value investing is that you're trying to buy dollars for 50 cents. You don't want to be buying these companies at highs and they can't produce, right? This is really high from off of this low, where these companies, Buffett doesn't see them producing enough value to get their stocks up that high. He don't see it. So, doesn't mean that you should follow everybody, but just keep that in mind. That's the mindset across Wall Street right now, right? So you have a break, with that. So golden boy is breaking, he's making money. So again, you can make money But when the pain comes, we don't know if this is the beginning of the pain. This could be. I don't know, right? I don't want to short it right here though. Okay. But that's what we could be seeing, right? Right now, we're seeing equities is down right now, slightly. They're not down too bad, but they're down, right? We got the Russell down, the NASDAQ down, the Russell, the Dow Jones and all that down. But gold and silver, all of that is up. Bonds is an interesting scenario as well, because with bonds, if we take a look at the 10-year, let's see. If we take a look at the 10-year, we see that it's been squeezed, compressed. Bonds has been compressed, moving sideways for a very long time. And I think a lot of this had to do with the dollar, right? So at the 786 on my Fibonacci, you see that the price never cleared. It's been compressing and compressing all up in here. And, we have a buy trigger right here. We have two of those, right? And then we have a squeeze right here. And, excuse me, what the expectation is, because we're looking at the faster pieces on the stochastics, that they're moving up. Although this has been moving down, the price hasn't been moving down. It's been moving sideways. And with the squeeze in here, what I'm expecting is for this to shift up. Okay. So just like last week, still focused, with the bonds. You play the TLT, still bullish on that, bullish on silver and gold. As far as the equity side go, you see I got my sector view over here. We have a squeeze on XLV. So anything popping off on equity side as far as bullish moves go, I'm looking at healthcare. Not my favorite sector, but again, you got to play what the markets give you, right? Okay. You guys can see this. All right. So we got some resistance right up here at this zone, but that's from the bigger swing. Okay. This is the resistance that we are at right now. Okay. And we're trying to see if this thing is going to clear it, which it looked like it's going to do that. Okay. Got some buy triggers down here. We got some shifting momentum here. We have a squeeze here, and the trend is moving up. All of that says bullish to me. Okay. So I'm expecting for this to move up. Okay. So this is a bullish play there on healthcare. And let me see, from this swing up here, we're looking at about $110 target, somewhere around there. 105 is the first zone, and about 110, I think, is from that swing here. Somewhere about 110, 108, somewhere in that zone. So that's the target zone I'm looking for that. But I do like this to play in the whole sector itself. You can take in and dial in on individual names, but I actually like the whole sector itself. Next one would be XLP. I mean, you can see the flag right there, right in front of your face. And bingo. That's the way that pattern plays out. Buy trigger right there. Got a squeeze right here. Of course, the trend of momentum and everything else is up. So I do expect this to go up. Now, we do have to clear the $60 target right here, okay, in order for us to plow through and hit our extensions on the Fibonacci. So, just keep that in mind. But I do like all of that to the positive side. All right. And let's see. So that's everything that I'm pretty much looking at right now. What's coming down the pipeline this week? Monday, we got the ISM numbers, PMI numbers, basically, which they're normally always bad. But, bad news is good news these days. So nobody really cares. But that's all bad. So I think that's going to be more bad news for that. Tuesday, let's see. What do we have? Nothing really substantial, I don't believe. Wednesday, we got the ADP number. So Wednesday is going to be a big day. We got the ADP, job numbers. We got the non-manufacturing ISM numbers coming out. And the ECB is going to be announcing their monetary policy. And I believe that the expectation is for them to remain the same. We have the Department of Labor reports unemployment claims. They're continuing to go. And Topaz said he laid everybody off. That's not even funny, man, because it's real life, But yeah, yeah, that's what they're doing and laying off, and that's crazy because those layoffs are going to go into the layoff numbers that they're going to be reporting on Thursday, right? But Wall Street is acting in excitement because we're not having as many people that's applying, so the numbers are slowing down, basically the momentum of the job loss. However, it's still over 40 million people out of work. This is still terrible times. Remember, I told you guys last year, when we was preparing for this, right? When we wrote all the articles and we was, buying gold and all this other stuff, we was saying, hey, I was telling people, hey, the good times are over. You better start preparing. Okay. Um, so, for those who haven't prepared, it's your fault. The message has been out there. The message is free, share the videos, Um, what else? Friday, we got the BLS numbers, from the job reports. Economists are forecasting drop. They're expecting for it to be worse. So this is from April numbers, April numbers. They're expecting it to be worse. And then we get the Chicago PMI numbers also. So that's what to expect coming this week. I think Wednesday, we're going to see a lot of action there. But yeah, so, that's what I'm seeing on the pipeline. Now, this is interesting, okay? So I'm going to go ahead and go over to the spill and I'll take a look at a couple of stocks from you guys here. But I just want to say this because we're at a very interesting time, all right? We're at a time, and I've been talking about this over and over again. I've been telling you guys about the war of the haves versus the have-nots. This is all in my the framework for my studies in economics and all this stuff. And, a lot of stock traders don't know this stuff, right? It's just one-sided. A lot of stock traders are dumbasses, let's be honest. Dumbasses can make money too, right? But for those who really want to study and master the game, you find these things, right? And what we've been learning here is that, this time that we're going through is not unique in a sense that, we have depressions and recessions over and over again. We have these cycles. And in these cycles, economics and politics, they go together. You can't separate the two, right? And so if you go through the data and you take a look at every president throughout U.S.'s history, you take a look at their political affiliations, to take a look at the economic minds of the time, take a look at the time before the Federal Reserve was created and after the Federal Reserve was created, when we had a gold standard, when we didn't have a gold standard, when Nixon took us off. You take a look at all these things, you can see how all of this has been shaping up, right? So the interesting thing is that, I posted, on my Facebook timeline. I'm gonna start posting this stuff on the website too. So, but it's I was actually looking at the movie Joker. We talked about Joker, right? And I took screenshots from that movie Joker that was really interesting because it stuck out to me as symbolism. I see a lot of symbolisms in movies. And the interesting thing is because I study about the have and the have-nots, the war, the rich versus the poor. But that movie had all the symbolisms of the rich versus the poor all in it, right? That's what the whole movie's about. And they had killed the rich. There was riots. You had, I took pictures, where you could see the police fighting with the citizens, and the citizens were saying that we're all clowns and this, that, and the third. It was a lot of like anarchists, right? And where the bad guys become the good guys, right? Where the Joker, that's how the Joker was celebrated, right? Shot a guy, blew his head off right on TV. But he was hurt. He had pent up pain that was coming out. And one of the things with economics and the economic minds who run the company, you got to understand the Federal Reserve has a mandate of maximum employment. That is their job, to make sure that we keep maximum employment. Why is that their job? It's because when you have more unemployment, you have more crime. And then you have, riots and revolutions that come from that. And so they always try to engineer the situation. And that's what we're seeing all the printing of money coming from. I was just listening to an interview from Jerome Powell earlier today. And he was, expressing why, they're printing all this money and stuff. Now, he said that the rich people ain't even really that impacted. He said, somebody asked him about, is this impacting the wealth gap? And he said, absolutely not. He said, when they looked at the data, he said what they discovered is that people that make under $40,000 a year are the most impacted people because they're losing their jobs. So he feel like it's important that they, print all this money and give it to these employers so that these employers can hire these employees back, right? And so they can keep their, company, up and running. But as you guys can see, employers are having issues with getting their people back to work, And a lot of those jobs are never going to come back in the first place. A lot of those companies are going to shut down in the first place. And those companies, a lot of them were shut down at the government's hand, right, over COVID. So, they're in a very, very, sticky situation here. And when you have Trump at the forefront with a war against China, where countries around the world are having to pick and choose also, because China supplied the whole world with goods, that they produce. And so China is the rising power that is challenging America. And so that's where you have China 2025 versus, Make America Great Again, MAGA. That's what that's all supposed to be about. That's the big war. No matter how you want to see it on a minor level, the big war has always been China versus the U.S. because the China is rising, the U.S. is falling from grace. And there has to be a fight. War is inevitable, basically. But we're not talking about military, though. So we're seeing economics, we're seeing biological, we're seeing all of this happening right now. So Trump has his hand full on that forefront where he has to deal with China. And this is why he's trying to engineer the situation to bring China to their knees by punishing Huawei. And, he got Canada involved with the, the CFO of Huawei and all that stuff when they're going to extradite her or whatever. That's bringing tension with China. Then U.S. sticking their nose in Hong Kong's business. That's also stirring up a lot of strife. The trade deal is pretty much over with right now. I mean, if you really think about it, China, they're pretty much, expecting for a Democratic president to take over where they can, get better odds, which I've been telling people that, from the beginning. And then you now have this social commotion, right? And, my condolences to the family of George Floyd. It's a terrible way for anybody to die. I don't think anybody deserves to die in the manner that the whole world saw. And, justice needs to be served, point blank, period. Now, the thing is that Trump is in a very interesting and a very sensitive situation, and he needs to be careful. And I'll tell you this is the reason why, okay? Because Trump, he likes to lead from a position of strength, right? And that's been his motto since, whenever, right? It's always lead from a position of strength, be the tough guy, right? And, if you ever listen to like any Italian mob guys, that's what we do. Okay, you want to be a tough guy, right? It's tough guy talk, right? Watch the mob movies. Robert De Niro, he's a critic of Trump. He's always playing these roles, but been a tough guy. That's how they play, right? And so he has to be careful because the people, the citizens, are at a breaking point, okay? And this is going to boil down to capitalism versus socialism at the end of the day. I mean, this is what it's going to usher in. But Trump has to be careful. And I say this because back in the day, I don't know if you guys remember, y'all probably remember, because it's been a while since I've been on it. But when Facebook first started getting games on their platform, you could play games. There was a game that I downloaded and I played. It was called Mobsters or Mafia, something like that. It was some kind of mob game. It was like Mafia or something. It was a really good game. I used to play it like daily, like because I was trying to rank my guy up, to be a boss and all of that. And so in the game, you go to, extort these companies, right? And you providing protection. They got to pay you up. If they don't want to pay you up, you got to rough them up to get your money. Now, the interesting thing about this game is that when you go to collect your money from whatever business, the business owner has the money in a safe, in a vault. So when you go pick it up, they're reluctant to try to give you the money. So you got to rough them up a little bit. So you shove them, you push them a little bit. And then if they're still not moving, then you start to smack them, right? So you smack them. And they have a little life meter, a life bar, right? But if if you smack them or punch them too hard or you stomp them or something like that, then what happens to that person is that they'll turn around and fight you. and this is a video game, remember, okay? But they will turn around and fight you, and to the point that you have to kill them or they kill you. It's a lose-lose situation for you if you push them too hard, because if you push them too hard, they're going to fight back. Then you're going to be forced to kill them. The money is in a safe. You can't get it now. Okay. Now, if that person beat you and kill you, you can't get the money. So you still don't get what you came for because you pushed them too hard. And so I think that, what I learned from that video game and this situation I look at in real life is that Trump has to be very, very careful. He's on a tightrope, whether he knows it or not. I don't know if he knows it or not, but he's on a very tight rope that he has to be very mindful and careful of what he's putting out in the atmosphere at this time, because the citizens, as we see, riots all over the country. We can't worry about Hong Kong right now because we got our own fires to put out in our own backyard. And, there are some bad apples in the bunch. There's, people that's, coming in and destroying businesses, this, that, and the third, whatever the case may be. This is viral now. So this is a fire that you got to put out. Do you put the fire out by killing people? All right. So it doesn't matter all the tough talk you talk, you put the National Guard out, or whoever you put out. But if they turn around and start killing people, it's over for you. Trump can't, they're going to get him out. He's going to probably not even make it to election. But he has to be careful with that tough talk. And people are to the point, I was watching Steven Jackson, NBA basketball player who's a friend of, the guy. He was basically saying that I'm at a point of no return and I don't care anymore. And it reminded me of the video game when I was playing where, I'm pushing the guy and I'm smacking him up and I smack him, one time too many and the guy turned around and fight me. So now I got to kill him or he going to kill me and it's still a lose-lose situation. So I think that Trump needs to, tone it down because, the government is run, it's supposed to be for the people. So you still got to have the people to vote, right? And, it's just not a good, he's going to have his cult following that just follows Trump just because, right? But there are some sensible people and around the world. You got the United Nations that's speaking out about this right now. I mean, this is really major. So it's really sensitive. And I don't know if it's George Soros or whoever, whatever conspiracies out there, it could be, right? Because we got these anarchist people that's going out here destroying businesses and all of that, right? Which is, it is what it is. That's what's happening. But I think as the leader, he needs to be, very sensitive, about what's happening because he may lose, the people. So anyway, that's my spill on that. With that being said, I'll take a look at a few stocks from you guys and we'll call it a night. What y'all got for me? Ron, I know you got something. Like Xavier, let me see, and Courtney. Okay. All right. So Zoom video is still here. We got earnings coming up on Zoom, which is this week. Okay. So in like 2 days, you got earnings coming up. And Zoom is pretty positive. This is an earnings play. I don't like to play earnings play, so I can't advise you. I don't know your level of trading. But when it comes to earnings, they're pretty much crapshoots where they can go either way. So remember this point of time right here is telling us that earnings is coming up on June 2nd, okay? So that's this mark. Okay, so you got a day to get in. You're up against, this resistance zone. The chart is bullish, okay? It is bullish, but it's earnings up above. So I really don't have anything for that, Zoom, they may go up. It could go either way because earnings are just, they're crazy. So I don't like to play earnings. So that's my thing on that. And then Courtney says, okay, cool. DraftKings. Really don't have a lot of data to come off of them. This one here, if you guys can see, really not a lot of data here. But just taking a look at the chart itself, the stock price is up. The key to investing is buy low, sell high. Do you want to be the person to buy it at a high? All right. I like to see meaningful pullbacks, and then we buy on the pullback, right? So if you see it's rising, you see it, say back here, you see it rise, let it come back, let it marinate, right? You see it come back in here, clear that, then you get in and ride a wave. Because what happens here is at the tops, man, you get profit taken, right, at these highs. So I don't have meaningful data to really do a full assessment on this one here because, of course, the chart is not, it's a new stock here. But I wouldn't want to buy it at this high. All right. That's right. Buy low, sell high. Oh, and another thing, Umar just reminded me. Yeah, so we had the whole space situation with Elon Musk, and his company, SpaceX, launching human astronauts to the International Space Station. You guys know I've been following that type of stuff for a while, with NASA and all of that. And America's been hitchhiking flights to the International Space Station with, Russia for years. We're supposed to be enemies. I just find that hysterical that we still depend on our enemies and do work with them, but we're supposed to be enemies, right? Anyway, but Elon Musk, he has the keys of transportation, basically, as you guys can see. He's the beneficiary of all this. He's, he got, cars. He has the underground tunnels You know, he's got space. I mean, this guy's controlling. He's going to be controlling pretty much everything. You know, dealing with transportation, right? And he's these space companies, um, like Northrop Grumman and Boeing and all these big boy companies. They've been doing space, longer than we've been alive. And here you get this young whippersnapper, Elon Musk, with all this technology that comes out and start doing space better than they have. The funny thing is, if you follow him on Twitter, he be beefing with them, right? Like Elon be extra petty. If y'all don't like Trump on Twitter because Trump be talking crazy, Elon be on Twitter talking crazy too, but he be talking like crazy to them because he's competing to get these contracts. You got to understand, SpaceX, Tesla finally went positive this year. I mean, his companies, they blow through cash, and SpaceX is another one. But the key is to get the government, taxpayer dollars to fund your company, to fund all these things that you have in your imagination. And that's what he's competing for. So it's contract business. American taxpayers are going to be paying for SpaceX to do it. And, I wish all is well with, the astronauts and that they have, a safe return and that things are not disastrous. Even Elon himself is saying that he's worried about that, but, it is what it is. So space, um, this is Virgin Galactic. This is Sir Richard, and I think that he's at the bottom of the list when it comes to this. You got a lot of other guys like Jeff Bezos. Also, these are the tech guys that's involved in space now, trying to compete to get the contracts from the government to fund their companies, right? So, uh, this could be something where they all may rally. In fact, the defense stocks, they were rallying last week, right? So this company may rally off of it. That is an interesting thing because even through the midst of all the riots, you had Trump that's trying to make history, and he got to make he's Hollywood. He's always been Hollywood, so he know how to frame things up, and that was his whole point of view of being a part of all of that, so he can have something under his belt to say that, hey, we bringing power back to America with space and this, that, and the third. I just truly don't believe that Americans give a damn about space right now. How can you care about space right now? You got, you don't even know if you're going to live a year from now. You got a coronavirus that's on you. You got riots. In fact, if you take a look at the gun stocks, that's what you need to be looking at, is the gun stocks. Forget the space stocks, all right? But gun stocks, you go try to buy a gun. You can buy a gun, but it's going to be like a 22, right? And they're going to overcharge you for it. But all the good guns are sold out, right? And I've been seeing this, since January when I came back from the mountains. Before we went to the mountains, right? That's what we were talking about, right? I was seeing my Jewish friends, I seen all these guys, they was preparing. I'm like, what the hell are people preparing for, right? I know I've been studying stuff, but I'm seeing people buying guns. And this is January. All the guns sold out. I couldn't even get ammunition, right? I'm loaded now, stock and loaded, but you had to have stuff on back order. So guns and ammo sold out all around the US. So if you can get some, you better get you some, right? Because I don't know what people are preparing for, but if you obviously need guns and ammo, even survival kits, I mean, all this stuff is sold out. People are preparing for, chaos to continue. So just be careful. But this stock here, it's a bullish stock, but I don't really have faith in that. Trump's, again, it really all depends on Trump winning 2020 election. Why? Because Trump restarted the program. Remember, Obama cut the program. And my personal opinion that, I think that's a waste of taxpayer dollars. You got people down here who don't have clean water. Why are we talking about spending all this billions of dollars that NASA get every year? Has some guys on some space fantasy stuff on the moon. We don't care about that, right? Most people don't, right? But, Joe Biden wins, then the Democrats probably more than likely try to cut the program again. So, again, this is on hopes that you have a Trump 2020 victory, because if Trump wins, then he can allocate more dollars towards these programs. And these guys like, Virgin Galactic and all of them, they get to be the beneficiaries of these contracts to do these space missions or whatever. So, again, I think it's bullish, but, I don't, it's not my thing. ATV, Activision. No squeeze, but a strong trend. Okay, Activision. All right, so it looked like Activision has already hit its objective here. If we take a look at from this swing up, Made it to the 786, never cleared, and faltered down here, bounced off the 50, came back up to our 9 moving average. Hasn't cleared yet. Need to see if it's going to clear. Now, I do have a strong sell trigger here. I got a sell trigger. It's not a strong, but it is a sell trigger. And so for me, I can't play this on the long side until that trigger is been breached, right? Because sometimes we get some false signals, okay? But because that's there, I don't have any faith to that to the long side. However, it can, go long, but I don't have a signal that's telling me to do so. It is bullish, but maybe it can come back some more. I don't know. My trend is down. My momentum is down. On a faster stochastic is coming up here. So that makes it interesting, a little conflicted. And that's, based off of this bounce. But just looking at this part of it, I don't see it, And again, we're seeing, we talk about the theme of sell and May and go away. A lot of this money has been, pumped into the tech stocks. ATVL, we've been playing that for a couple weeks. And again, I think that the objective was met already on this one. So, yeah, I would like to see a more cleaner setup on it. Who's that, Dustin? All right, what else we got? Tyson's Food. Interesting situation here. But Tyson's Food came down, came up here, and it's chopping sideways. Interesting thing is that you have resistance up above, but even the sideways move doesn't look like it's going to hold, Looking at it being damn near overbought territory at the sideways. So this could come back down here. Now, Tyson's Food, this is one of those companies that's been having issues with the COVID situation, right? I don't know if it's Tyson's. A lot of these meat companies been having issues with the COVID situation. They're having to lay off people, people getting the virus. I think it's Tyson is one of them. I know it's like Smithfield is one. Either way, things are not looking good for these meat companies. And in fact, we're seeing inflation in food prices right now. I believe that food prices are like 50% higher. And, with meat, that's where most of the inflation is at for people that eat meat. It's seeing prices elevated there. So, yeah, I mean, I don't like this to the long side. The story doesn't match for me. It is under its moving averages. If it does move, positive, this 100 moving average is going to be your resistance zone. Yeah, that's right. And it's got a dividend payout coming up too. Usually a volatile event or not? Not really. But with this situation now, a lot of companies are cutting dividends. So, it's interesting. What else? SLV. All right. So this is one of those silver. So this is the silver ETF. And you guys already know where I stand at on silver. So, I'm bullish on this one here. And again, I got a $20 target on it. Now, it is in an overbought territory, though. So, overbought territory is just a good place to understand where you are. Doesn't mean that we can't go further, which, these past 2-3 years, the overbought, indicators really haven't been that fruitful for us because they can stay in the overbought zones for a very long time. But just looking at this chart itself up against this 786, we may see it chop a little sideways. I don't think that silver is going to jump straight to the moon yet unless things deteriorate or get worse, or if the rhetoric with Trump and China gets worse. But with all the chaos, I do, think that the silver and gold stocks are going to continue to go up. So again, I'm bullish, even though it's in the overbought territory. I'd like to see it, pull back before you enter. Sometimes you can't have a clean entry, right? The overall target is up here about $20. That's overall where I see it going. I don't have a squeeze anything like that, but just understand the story, the narrative that we have right now. Chaos is among, across the land. People are preparing for safety. They're buying guns, they're buying ammo, they're buying silver, they're buying gold. You can't get your hands on this stuff physically. You can buy stocks, but you can't, get your hands on the gold and silver. In fact, I'm still on back order for, some of my other orders. So I'm long gold and silver all day. Um, what else? Who else I missed? Did I miss anybody else? Ashley, what's up, Ashley? How you doing? See you in a minute. Let me see. Twitter. Oh yeah. So Twitter, again, we talked about, Trump, signing executive orders on Twitter. You know, um, that's a negative sign. Anytime you have government interference on your business, definitely not a good sign. We did have Twitter to tap out right here at this resistance before it started falling. But the trend is still intact. It'll be interesting to see if Twitter breached this 100 moving average right here. Now, if you get a breach there, then bingo, I'm just short. I mean, again, you can short up here when it tapped out up here. But at this zone, it's still a little tricky because this could hold this support. So you want to see if the support is going to hold. If that support breaches, then I'm short. But I don't like Twitter to the long side just because of, the situation with Trump. And y'all know Trump like to be the tough guy. He is not going to give up on him until he get what he want. So unless they give him what he want, I'm short on Twitter. What else? Run up just IPO. Costco. That's another thing. So Costco, we talked about the situation. So Costco is another player that was from the weeks prior. We talked about being bullish on, and that was because we saw the outcome from, was it BJ's and all of that, and they had their earnings, and it looks like they missed their earnings, but look where the stock prices did not fall. And so anytime the stock prices don't fall and they miss earnings, that's a positive sign in my view, because obviously the shareholders got some kind of faith still left in them. And with that being said, the squeeze is still on. It's a little extended. Okay. And you're squeezing up in here, and it looks like it's trying to break out, positively here. So I got a 313, zone right here. And trend is positive. All of this is positive, right? Upside target, if it, breaches through all of that, then you're looking at about 340. But again, people, XLP, consumer staples, I'm still long those. So, you could play, again, individual names, or you can play the whole sector to get some exposure. It's a little more safer if you play the sector. But if you really want to, capture that mood, you can play the individual name. I'm bullish on this one here. BJ's had a nice pop. Target may be in a difficult situation. We're seeing Targets, being shut down across the country. I don't know what that's looking like, but I don't want to be involved in that. But Costco looks like they're positive. Okay. And with that being said, make sure that you guys, if you guys are new joining, make sure you get the link to download the book. It's free. This is the options, intro to options trading book. It's free. We dropped the link in there. You can download it, check it out. Make sure you guys check the website out. For the members on the website, know that I've been working. In fact, I've been extra working. I've been working a lot since COVID, more than I normally do, right? I've been so busy taking out, I think I leave the house more than I ever had before. All right. But I normally try to order more things, but I'm still busy. And then, all the chaos and all this other stuff, my spidey senses be going off. So sometimes it's a little difficult to even stay asleep. So I'm really, really busy. And I have family. I got a teenage daughter that's graduating and things like that. So things are busy, but I am working. We've been rebuilding the entire website and everything. So for you guys on the website, make sure you check it out. If you haven't, this is what you're getting. I have been updating some of the courses. So make sure you go back through some of the courses and capture some of those lessons. Refining my methods of teaching, the style of teaching, the technology that we've been using, putting in more than I did before, but being more efficient with the time now, where we used to have the lectures take 2-3 hour courses. Everybody used to love those, but they did take up a lot of time. And so now, the courses we have now, they're about, 20 minutes, 10, 20 minutes long. They're really short. You can really get through it much faster now. And I will continue to build. And my my expectation is to get through it much faster, but because I have family, you know, and things, it does interrupt with the time. But just know that I'm working every day though. So every day, just make sure you come back, check on the courses, go through them. Some of the things, if you went through the old stuff, the old material, go back and catch the new material, where you can get, all the good news and all the good stuff in here. So yeah, I just want to make sure that you guys know that we're working on this, and make sure that, if you're on the website, send me a shout out, connect with me. Um, you have your timeline and all of that, post your pictures. And you can also invite others to the website. Look at Ron, look at OG Ron. So he was over here dropping all right here on the website. See, you got your own space. So you can do the same thing you do on Facebook. We're trying to transition from the Facebook side onto our own website where we control everything here. But just remember, you can also invite people. You can go to email invites on the site, drop in the email, invite your friends. All you do is put their name and the email in here, and you can invite them to the website. So definitely encourage you guys to take advantage of that. Any feedback, let me know. Okay. With that being said, we're going to call it a night. I'll catch you guys in the market this week. Peace. Thank you guys.